Hello friends, welcome to my quick craft room tour. Try saying that a few times real fast. This is only my second take because I just knocked my lamp over, so I've now moved it just out of the way. But this is the space that I work in to create my cards, and I just kind of wanted to give a quick rundown in case anybody likes any of my organizing ideas. So this whole shelf from top to bottom is all segmented pattern papers. The first shelf are mostly 12 by 12 pattern papers and then some loose leaf ones that are tabbed and organized by color versus patterns. These are all books that I can easily thumb through. Here's some 8 by 8s and then some scraps. On the next shelf down are all of my 6 by 6 pads, some of the packets of different kinds of vellum that I purchased, all of my coloring books, and some great tips and tricks and card phrases that occasionally I dip into. The next shelf down is all of my plain cardstock and a ream of just plain printing paper, and then on the bottom are all of the envelopes. Down there on the bottom shelf in the middle are some sticker letters sorted by color, which I actually just purged out quite a few of. I'm not sure what I'm going to use that for. The next box up here are a bunch of stickers that I also seldom use and probably need to purge out. And then up on the middle shelf here is where all of my inks are. And I have all of my Distress Oxides in one cubby and all of my regular oxides in another. They're all labeled. And then I've got some miscellaneous random ink pads that I use from time to time in that cubby as well. Then on the top shelf is where all my glitter and alcohol inks are. On this top canister is all my alcohol inks. I've got a shot glass that I use for dipping alcohol and some gloves. Peerless watercolor pad underneath there that I've already cut samples out of and put into a book for easy coloring. Second shelf is all of my pretty stickles and glitter drops and pearl drops, and then I've got a few Distress inks over there on the side, sprays. And this bottom one are just some more Nouveau shimmer powders and all kinds of fancy glitter that I love so much. And then I've got my water, clean water, and then dirty water cups. And then in this palette, I've actually left it in here, but I used some Nouveau shimmer powders and mixed it in there, and I think that I can just reactivate them with water, so I didn't want to touch those. So back up a little. Now this last cubby, the bottom there is just kind of miscellaneous. My label maker, that cards box is what I actually use to do my overspray so I don't make a mess on my card surface. The case is actually empty, and then my roll of paper towels. Here's all my pretty shaker bits and bling, all organized. They're not really buttons and flowers anymore. The bottom one is still brads, but the rest are all sequins of some kind. And then the closest to me is all my paintbrushes, all my scissors, all my Distress water bottle, ink blenders, glue, all my perfect pearls and shimmer powders, all nicely labeled in there. And then I've got a box of daubers there, finger daubers. And then in this little containers where I keep my anti-static powder tool, and then my Bristol smooth card stock is right here that I keep on hand, very close. And on the top shelf are the inks that I reach for the most, which are the Memento Tuxedo Black and the Black VersaFine. I've got them in large and cube size. And then there's my growing collection of Copic markers along with the Letra Set Pro markers. Okay, so then I've got all these cubbies, and they're all so much fun. Got room to grow. So in this top book is kind of where I have all my swatches, and I also keep all of my blender pads in it. So I'll give you a quick rundown. So here are some of the samples. I stamped them all with the same stamp, write the color and who made it. And then back a little further, these are all of my Distress Oxide blending tools, and then behind that are just the regular Distress color blending tools. And then here I've got the tab for the Peerless watercolors. And what I did here was a recommendation. I just cut a swatch out, taped it to the back side so it never messes on the other side if I put them away wet. Did a nice little swatch of what it's most dense all the way down to full of water. And then I've got all of those in here. So nice and easy to reach. I've got plenty more of these sheets to grow into. I probably need some swatches I need to catch up on. But in this top drawer, it's just kind of overstock of extra supplies that I keep on hand. Here's all the fun, people. The glitter drawer. Wow, look at all that glitter. My best friend. Oh, I love them so much. I just could play in this drawer all day long. And of course, my next favorite, the embossing powders, which I also have quite a few pretty colors down under here. Coffee filters, people, I'm telling you, they are so inexpensive and the best way to filter your powders back into their containers. So the ones I use the most, I've got in these bigger containers with labels on the top and on the side, depending on how I want to lay them. And then I've just got a few little extra kind of modeling glue, brayers, and miscellaneous things behind there. Here's my tape drawer, which I reach for often. It's got my ATG gun along with some shaker card cutouts. I've got the circles and the squares, but everything else in here is pretty much some form of tape. Xyron, I've got my post-it note tape, so that is very handy when I'm sitting right here. Here's my next project I'm getting to make, by the way. It's going to be a 1-year-old baby boy card, and I've got all my supplies. I'm going to use these on the shaker and the rattle, and it's just going to be awesome. So stay tuned for that video. Just thought I'd give you a sneak peek to those who are watching. So let's go down these drawers one by one. So I've got all my word stamps on this side, pattern stamps on this side. And what I did, folks, super easy. Piece of 12 by 12 paper, just folded it in half. Keeps everything perfect. I just used pink post-it tape and wrote all of the information on my bags there. It's super easy. Next one down are my the Stamps of Life and mini stamps, and then I've got large background stamps on the other side, and these are kind of miscellaneous and a little bit random too, but when I was a club member of Stamps of Life, I have just tons and tons and tons of her stamps and dies and all kinds of goodies, some La La Land craft-in. These are some of like the oversized stamps that I just couldn't fit anywhere else. My Tim Holtz Stampers Anonymous. Love those dogs. A couple background stamps. Next one down is all of my foam and some washi tape. So what I do is I go to the thrift store, and they always have these kind of random things that sometimes you find a deal, sometimes you don't. But I got these foam squares. I have all these foam little discs here, running low on that, but I mean, I've got foam just, you know, coming out of my ears here. Some Zots, and then just my little few washi tapes that I use on a regular basis. And then down here are, yes, I still have my punches, people, and I just refuse to get rid of them. I don't use them often, but I do use them. So every now and then I go to reach for one, and I love that I still have them available. So I have those all organized. Back up to the top. That big black ugly box back there is my Wi-Fi box. It's kind of hidden back there, but it's still not very cute. This is just kind of an overflow of stuff. I bought these inks and I haven't really had a chance to play with them yet, but I hope to be able to do that soon. Splash ink. This top drawer just has some of my foiling in it. which I need to get more of because I don't have very many colors. And then my Cromper Chomper, we'll never get rid of that. Next drawer is, oh, this is a fun one. So, you know, I like to just play sometimes and don't really have a theme in mind. So I do a lot of backgrounds and then don't really know what to use them for, but they're just too pretty. So I will find some use. Here's another one. Those are the pearls, the Nouveau Shimmer. I bought this dye and had to try it out a bazillion times. Same with this one. This is that hibiscus flower. Love it. All kinds of little bits and pieces that I've cut out and foiled. And see, I just play. And they're so pretty. Practice coloring. Here's some alcohol ink backgrounds. Which, oh, this is the other thing I do. So, let me pull a pack out. Here is a pack of stamps on mixed media paper. So I know that I need to use some kind of Copic coloring on these because no other medium works very well in my opinion. So I just stamp, and then if I have to go on the run, I can just grab a handful of these stamps and be on my way. So it's kind of my box of, let's pull a card together real quick. Next is my acrylic blocks and just some kind of random things. I've got glue and stamp cleaner, and this is my shimmer mist that I made myself with just some perfect pearls and water. I have yet to try this Distress Resist spray. Again, upcoming project, stay tuned. I will use it eventually. Just all my acrylic blocks. I don't know if anybody else still has one or uses this. I definitely do use it because I do still have a couple of stamps that don't work with my Misty good old-fashioned roll of painter's tape. Next drawer is all my stencils, which I just kind of discovered I had more than I thought I did. So here's just some kind of random ones. And then I've just got a ton of stencils. I'm not going to sit here and show them all to you, but they're all like kind of in this packet of Martha Stewart stuff right here. It's where all the fun ones are. So see, I've got those pretty hearts. Some really cool stencils. Next drawer is my image stamps that I just really couldn't fit in a bag. So what I did is I took one of these plastic containers that you can kind of buy anywhere, and I just put a bunch of word stamps in here and then a couple of background stamps on the back. All kind of have a theme. And then I've got my people stamps, which are my La La Land stamps, and then some border stamps, which are just what they say, borders and flowers. Empty bin, room to grow. You see that, everybody? It's empty. All right, and then the last one, which I haven't quite figured out how I'm going to organize this, is all of my scrap paper. Now, I do have them organized in folders, but that's just not going to work for very long. So, if anybody has any suggestions on how I can make this drawer into my scrap paper drawer organized, I would love to hear them. All right, so moving over here. So, everything that you see on top of this cabinet is all of my Christmas stuff. Yes, not all of it, but most of it. The stuff that I'm going to use and have used and will continue to use in my card making series. So, which leads me to this little nifty box over here. This is my daily journal that I keep tabs on what I'm going to do and how I'm going to do it. And then what I do is I will get all the pieces together, draw out a diagram, make some notes about what I want it to look like. I put in it what I'm going to use, penny black stamp, and little people. Here's some pattern papers, and I'm going to make the cards. So I do that for my series. I'm just getting into this, but I'm very organized in case you haven't figured that out. So then down over here are the cards that I've made already, and I believe I've shown on my like Instagram and YouTube channels and Facebook and stuff like that. This was a fun shaker card. I love this one. It's so pretty. So yeah, that's where that goes. So top drawer, cutting, stamping tools. All the all the rave here. The Tim Holtz tonic cutter, I love. My big Misty stamper. I've got my scoring buddy here, which I use all the time. Then I've got a rubber mat. Then I have a piercing foam mat. And then I've got my Fiskars trimmer. So those all fit really nicely and they're really accessible. These are my cleaning rags. I just kind of threw them in there. Next drawer is another favorite of mine, all of my dies and embossing folders. So this entire thing is full of dies. Take that up for a second. And so is that one underneath, as you can see. A lot of those are my background and shape dies. And then in here are more of my non-traditional dies. And then I have just a, ton of embossing folders. And then I have some extra mats here because I did just have to purchase a new Sizzix Big Kick because my Big Shot decided it wanted to lock up. And I took the whole entire thing apart and I couldn't get it to unlock. So moving on. Here is where I kind of stock all the cards that I made until I can get them into my inventory. I just kind of throw them in there. And then down the bottom is my laminator. Nothing fancy. So one more last thing to show you, and this is where I keep all my gel pens and my watercolor markers and all my color pencils, extra stamps, extra ink pads, all of my ribbons, which I very seldom use, but I do still use. Here's some flowers that, again, I don't use very often, but I do still use. And then this is just a bucket of randomness. So that is my craft room. Hope everybody had some good ideas, but this is where I create my space. Here is how I record all of my videos. I just put the camera up like so,